January 1943. The Germans are unable to break to the Soviet lines despite numerous attempts. The campaign seems doomed for them, and the fighting continues. Welcome back to Unconditional Surrender Case Blue. If you're still with me, thank you for your patience. It's been a long ride and not very interesting in terms of dynamics in the game. I'm rolling for weather. That's a 1. It's still poor weather. I already done the economy phase, and it is the same as it has been now for quite some time with the Axis player. The Soviet player are at 14 still. The Soviet player has the tank event marker available. So the Soviet player can mobilize a tank unit this turn. I'm going to make a desperate attempt on Rostov. Romanians and the 17th being lead are assaulting Rostov. Because they do an assault, the guards in Rostov are going to get support from the Air Force. And I'm not sure if the Soviets should commit this tank marker. I'm going to roll a die for that. On a 1 to 3 the Soviets are committing the tank marker. And they got a 6, so they are not committing. So they're saving it for other battles, up here perhaps. Oh, I must remember to deduct production points from Romania and from Germany. Now I need a really good roll from the Axis player in able to do this because of the poor weather. And I'm not sure I got it. Germans get plus 2 for being Germans. The elites get +1 because they are elites. The Soviets are elites. It's +1. There are no tank units involved. And they are not isolated. But it's -2 because of the weather. Down to 4 again. And it's -1 because we are attacking a city. The Soviets are getting air support. And as you can see, that's attacker stopped. Still no progress. I'm paying 1 production point to activate the Italians. Bringing them 1, 2 around here and taking them out of the enemy zone of control and into the enemy zone of control again. I'm getting desperate now and I really need that advance. Adding on 2 for Germans as well and taking the Panzer. And 2 more. Yeah, I have enough for that Panzer as well. So I'm assaulting with everything I can on the 6th now. Well, the Germans, the Soviets, yeah, they are going to support with the planes, and they are going to use this tank marker. I think that's pretty obvious that they need to use the tank marker now. So I've deducted all the production points. The Germans have 3 production points left, and assaulting with 3 units in poor weather. No, the lead is going to be the 1st Panzer. I didn't count the movement points, but they are obviously enough for all of them to join the attack. Again, I need a good roll for the Axis player. I didn't get it. But they are German, so they get +2. There's an elite in the Soviets. No, it's not an elite, it's just a normal infantry. Oh, there are tanks in the Soviets as well, so they get +1. And the Germans get +1 because they're also tanks. Then it's -2 for the weather, and it's a clear hex, so there's no minus for any rough. Yep, and then there is air support for the Soviets, bringing them up to 4. And it's an assault, so there's a tank, so that's a +2. And there's an infantry, that's +1. And that's all. And sadly for the Axis player, that is no effect. Tank marker comes back next turn. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to activate the Hungarians, moving them 1, 2, and I'm going to attack 3, 4 to attack in poor weather, 5, 6 because it's an enemy city, and I'm going to mount an assault. And this guy, the 2nd infantry are joining. No, the 6th are joining. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so they have just enough points if I have calculated correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4 to move across the river, 5, 6 to attack enemy city, and 7, 8 because the weather is poor. Yeah, obviously the German unit is the lead unit. Inside Voronezh there is a guard unit, so he has a +1. These guys, they are Germans. That's +2. There are no tank units, there are no shock units. But it's -2 because it's bad weather. And I'm attacking across a river. It's hopeless, hopeless, hopeless. But then I get a +1 because I have the Hungarians with me in support, but still it's attacker stopped. Well, what can you do? Nothing more. Everything is in supply. So I'm ending the activation for the Germans, and I'm moving on to the Soviets. I'm going to see if I can take out this 4th Panzer and reduce it a little bit by doing assaults, quite a hefty assault actually, from the guards. They will be supporting, and from these 2 infantries. This guy is going to be the lead. Okay, 3-3. Well, the Germans are German, so that's +2, and they also Panzer, so that's a another 1. Panzer in poor weather is +1. They have to take a -2 for attacking in poor weather. And it's just an open hex, no attacking across a strait. And in addition they have 2 supporting units. Well, it is attacker stopped. Going to pay 2 and move up this Panzer. Here. Careful to stay in supply. I'm going to move up the shock unit, moving up here. And now I will be blocking the retreat possibilities out of the city, but I'm doing that on purpose because if they get a defender retreat, they can't, so they will stay back and keep possession of the city. Quite cynical, but Soviet tactic as good as any, I think. And I'm activating, paying 1 point to activate the 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across the river, and moving the 9th here, aiding defense of Rostov, making it more difficult for a breakthrough here. If it, well, it's unlikely, but you never know. Yes, and that's all the Soviets are going to do. They are not, I mean, they could strike back, but attacking across the river is equally bad for them as it is for the Germans. They've spent all these units, and so they are ending the activation and checking for supplies. Of course, they are all in supplies. Yeah, they're all in supply, so nothing happens there. Then in the replacement phase, the Soviets are refitting the tank unit and the shock unit. That cost 3 points. They have 4 points left. 3 of those 4 points are spent to get support from the air fleet, like that, or to get them flying again. Okay, Soviets have only 1 more point. They can't bring on the tank unit, but we're ending the phase. The turn marker moves. Ground support is available, and also the tank marker. Second last round. There are no upgrades and stuff. So that's the second last round. Let's just start that immediately. Weather phase in February. 3. Still poor. Okay, forgot production, but you all know the drill by now. No surprises there. Okay, so we're just going to repeat the drill from last round, I think. I still need to break through. So I'm going to start here in Rostov, attacking with Hungarians, or assaulting with Hungarians and with Germans, and it's across the river, so it's pretty tough. The question is if the Soviets will commit air support. I don't think it's a given, so I'm going to roll a die, because it's going to be 3 battles at least now. On a 1 to 3 they will be committing air support. No air support. I think that was the vice choice actually. They also have a tank marker. Will they commit the tank marker? I'm going to roll for that as well. Same thing. 1 to 3 they will commit. No, not even that. Okay, interesting. I could have added a ground support for the Hungarians, but I'm not. I'm saving that for either the Italians or possibly the Romanians down here. Okay, then it's battle time, or rolling time. Okay, hasn't been much luck for the Germans, so this is hopeless of course. There's a guard unit in that city. That's not true. Let's do this again. 2 for Germans, -2 for poor weather, -1 for attacking a city. Then they will attack across the strait, so we'll put them down to -1. And they get +1 because they have a supporting unit. Yeah, it still is attacker attrition. Okay, so they are reduced. Okay, so my next attack is going to be an assault here from the 17th, supported by the Romanians with ground support. The guards here are going to get air support for sure. Even when the Germans roll well, the Soviets still roll a 6. Okay, so let me see if I can remember. There's a German lead unit. That's +2. And there's an elite unit inside Rostov. There's no isolation. -2 for attacking a hex in poor weather. -1 for attacking a city. And there's +1 for the Soviets for the air support. There's +1 for the supporting Romanians and +1 for the ground support marker. Well, it would have gone well if the Soviets didn't roll so well. Now it's a no effect. Had the Soviets rolled a... I ended up 2 above it. They had to roll a 2 actually in order to be defeated here, so that's almost an impossible fight. But Germans have no choice, of course. So let's see when this comes back. If I get a 1, it will come back the next round. It won't. It's out of the game. Final assault. Same as before. There's obviously enough movement points, so I'm not going to calculate that even. So no, of course, the last battle they will play the tank marker, but they will not fly the sortie. No, they will not. But the Soviets will not fly the air support. Yeah, they need to. They will fly the air support. Of course, they do that. Okay, +2 for being Germans, and the lead unit is a tank, which is this case for the Soviets as well. They are tanks now. And there is -2 because of the weather. But there's no city or rough, no strait. There's air support. There's a tank unit supporting, that's a +2, even though it's poor weather. And there's an Italian supporting, that's another one +1. We're able now to score a defender retreat. Yeah, the retreat happened like this, of course. And these guys are not going after, because then they will be out of supply. So it's over. Soviets are not doing anything, they don't have to, they just stay put. And instead, in the refit phase, they're going to refit both air units. Tank marker is available. Again, we're going into the last turn. Production is set as always. The Axis has lost already. Just for show, we're going to determine the weather. It's a 6. Now we are in March, and a 6 in March is actually severe. Forgot to refit these Germans in the refit phase. I had points, so I'll do that. But there's no point playing out this round. The air support won't matter, of course, because the weather is so bad. I don't have any chance of taking Rostov or Voronezh. So I'm actually not doing anything for the Germans or the Soviets. And in the victory check phase now, you will see that the primary objective are not being met, so nobody controls all the factories, although the Soviets were close at one point. So after that it's the most cities, and Germany only have 2 cities. They were not able to make any progress at all. 6 cities for the Soviets. They are the clear winner, a major defeat for the Axis player. It turned into a stalemate, which was a bit of a pity. Yeah, and the Russian winter was also pretty hard, because there was no possibility to get fair weather in approximately half of the game, making advancement very difficult for the Axis player. The Axis lost the game already during the first turns when we missed out the supply rule for the Panzers, so that was a newbie mistake. Although it was a stalemate, it was very entertaining for me. If you bear with me so far, well, thank you very much. I am impressed, as this was almost like the First World War, where there were trenches being dug all over the place here. After the initial Axis advancement, they were pushed back close to Kharkov, but were able to expand again. But the rivers are hefty defensive parameters. There's actually quite a lot of units here in a very condensed map, so there's a lot of action. But you must be very wary of the supply line. So it's a very strategic game, because you have to be aware of these supply lines. They are really determining your combat factor. If you're out of supply, you are basically in trouble. So my plan was, well, if I were able to breach those lines here, I would swing around, and then I will be able to isolate units. This one is not isolated. Well, then I would be able to isolate the units, and they will fight with a severe reduction and cut off their supplies in addition. So if that happened, if I had been able to do that early on, where the Soviets were out in the open, then this game would not look like this. So I'm eager to try it again, actually. Don't worry, I'm not going to film it. You don't have to sit and watch through all of that again. I will encourage you to go and print out this game from Board Game Geek, or buy the C3I magazine that is coming out with this game. Then you will have real counters, or better yet, get your hand on a copy of Unconditional Surrender, the World War II in Europe. I almost said Case Blue. This game, woo. Get your hands on a copy of this before it's too late. I'm sure it will come back in print again if it goes out. I will sum up my thoughts in a video in a bit. Thank you for watching, and see you then.